and welcome back to our educational video series designed to help protect families properly. We welcome back Larry Hoover from Myer Insurance Broker, and today's topic is how to protect yourself from being sued. So over to you, Larry, to fill us in.
Thanks very much, Maureen, and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us here. Quick kind of an insert here. I'm a P&C insurance broker, so I protect homes and properties and cars and so on. One way that I'm very different is that I don't just give quotes and say, hey, let's see if we can save you some money. I actually audit people's policies and I find problems, I put it in a report, and we walk you through what I call red lines, and you go get them fixed. You don't have to buy anything at all from me. So today we're going to talk about a bit of a dark topic, but it's the stuff that we don't really hear too much about. My industry, I think, kind of keeps these things quiet on purpose, so we don't hear a lot about it. When you hear about ads, people selling property and auto insurance, quite often they're funny. They are humorous, so they talk about, hey, let's bundle and save. What they don't talk about is the claims side and what happens when something bad happens. So my industry is all about the what ifs, and I tell everybody that you only need to be sued once to ruin your life, unfortunately. We're going to cover a couple of stories here in a minute as well. My understanding is that the personal injury law industry is one of the fastest growing in the country. I have regular calls with an insurance lawyer. We exchange war stories and so on, so we can help to share these stories to help protect other people as well. The example I want to give, for example, liability. That's the description of the coverage if you're sued. That's the amount that's going to help perhaps not ruin your life. So I tell everybody the minimum that they should have in their home and their cars, for that matter, is $2 million. I still see a lot that are sitting at $1 million, and frankly, that's a number that we used to sell over 12 years ago. The lawsuits are more frequent and they're larger. So if anybody out there has $1 million liability on their properties or their cars, please change this as soon as possible, because none of us can schedule these accidents unless you're breaking the law, perhaps. So you need more up-to-date and accurate information, and that protects you much better. So we're going to bring in the car side as well here too, Maureen, not just houses, because a lot of people have cars and car
Absolutely, yeah.
That's where the biggest claims are happening. I want to tell everybody as well too that just because a friend or a family member is hurt, let's say at your home or your cottage, do not assume that they will not sue you, because there are catastrophic accidents that can happen that could ruin their lives, and they may have no choice but to go and sue you. So catastrophic. There are common things. There are some really bizarre things. We're going to look at the more common things that happen. Number one, on your property, let's say it's your principal residence, your home or your condo. The most common might be slip and fall. Any delivery person coming to your house. Alcohol, again, can cause mishaps as well too. I heard a number of years ago a fellow who held a party and his best friend drank too much, fell down the stairs, and he's in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. So I didn't hear the outcome, but that person would have been sued for millions of dollars. So again, how much liability do you have on your house insurance? I also recently read about a young fellow, a 17-year-old in Windsor, who dove into his friend's pool. He broke his neck. That is a $1.7 million lawsuit. So if that homeowner only had $1 million, you're out of pocket for the rest. Things like hot tubs, trampolines. I ask my clients about trampolines. There's a lot of people going to the emerge from trampoline accidents.
A lot of trampolines going on, eh?
They are. Well, if you've ever been on one, you know how easy it is to lose control. So I lost control, yes, but I didn't really hurt myself too badly. We have a separate video on cottages. So I recommend anybody who knows anyone who's got a cottage to take a look at that one. So Maureen can point you in the right direction there. Cottages generally on our waterfronts. Waterfront is a higher risk. Alcohol at the cottage, boats, tubing, water skiing, personal watercraft, same thing. So these are higher risk when you introduce those things and water. So you really need to have strong liability coverage if lawsuits and accidents happen there. Another one is rentals. If you've got a rental property, if you're a landlord, I audited somebody's policy recently where it showed they actually lived in the 3-unit house. Well, the landlord lived 4 hours away from that house. That is a potential claim denied because it wasn't described properly. So if you're renting part of your house, or you've got a basement apartment, or if you rent out even your cottage for a few weeks or more during the year, you have to tell your insurance person. This is happening much more frequently. This little business called Airbnb is absolutely taken off. So you have to tell your insurance person or your policy could be void. And finally, I want to mention dogs. This is another way that we can be sued. This is happening more frequently since the pandemic started. There are more dogs as pets today. Last year, I learned of a lawsuit that settled in the Toronto area for a $100,000 dog bite. So the most common victims are seniors and kids 5 and under. The average lawsuit in North America was $73,000. There's a dog bite in North America every 60 seconds.
Ouch.
So I ask you, did your insurance person ask you, do you have a dog? I record poodles and chihuahuas on the paperwork just to protect you because I am reading that even the little yappy dogs are causing significant dog bites on a child's face, for example. So ask yourself, did they ask me that question? And finally, on the car side, this is where there are more lawsuits on the roads. There are many more accidents than on property type of thing. The record in Canada for the largest lawsuit for a car accident, successful lawsuit, was over $16 million. So how can these things happen? Snow, ice, distracted driving is now the #1 cause of accidents in Canada. Drinking is no longer #1. One story I heard not too long ago was a fellow who was driving his car, I think it was in Vancouver. He jumped the curb and he pinned somebody against a wall. That lawsuit settled at $3.75 million.
Oh.
So if that driver had $2 million liability for his car insurance, the insurance company would pay the $2 million, and then the courts would demand that you pay the rest, $1.75 million. The way they're going to do that is they will mandate that you first sell your assets, then you cash in your savings and retirement plans, and then they start to garnish your income for the rest of your life until that is paid off. It's not very pleasant, so that's why this is so important. Yeah. Garnishing wages until that number is paid off.
You explained about a home-based business that I've never heard of before. How can that hurt someone?
Well, you're not alone, Maureen, because I would say about 98% of the policies that I audit, people who do have a home-based business have never heard of this before. So I ask you, who do you know who may be self-employed, who does not lease an office at a bricks and mortar location elsewhere? These are people that we're talking about here. And that is regardless of whether nobody ever visits you there, okay? So in my experience, this includes most of the realtors, financial planners, mortgage brokers, tradespeople, and perhaps 1,000 more types of jobs that people might have. I'm also including here a side gig. This seems to be so popular where outside of your full-time job, people are selling stuff, a product or a service. It's a side gig. Your insurance company has to know about this stuff. You have to tell your insurance person.
Boy, you're a nosy lot, you lot.
Well, you know what? It's all about saving. Saving is from the lawyers, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, you're doing a good job.
Exactly.
Good job.
Well, one example, and this is very important. People say, oh, that'll never happen to me. There was a case in Toronto, I believe, where a fellow resigned from his corporate job, and I believe he was an accountant, started his own solo entrepreneur company, and he had a fire in his house. It was a total gut. It was $1 million fire. The fire marshal proved his business had nothing to do with the cause of the fire. Accounting, that's pretty low risk. The insurance company said, claim denied. You're out of pocket. You never told us about this. $1 million out of pocket. This is how these things could ruin people's lives.
Yeah.
So, potential claim denied rules. What type of company are you? Are you incorporated or a sole proprietor? And how much revenue per year? These are typical rules. So, the vast majority of those types of people I mentioned earlier are in a position where they might hear claim denied, we're paying you nothing. So, I hope to wake up some of those folks, realtors, financial advisors, and so on. 2 recent examples on a home-based business recently that were I audited some people's policies, and they were home-based business as I described above, and they went to their current insurance person and they said, no, you're okay, you're fine. So after several iterations back and forth, they finally canceled with their current insurance person, and then that insurance person sent a note to the insurance company saying, my client doesn't want to renew, he's a home-based business, here's what he does. And in both of those cases, and this was just a few weeks ago, both insurance companies came back and said they've got 20 days to get off our policy and find another one. We're going to cancel you. And the other company said 30 days. So that proved that what I was saying was true, that their company never even would have had them as a client if they knew about that particular kind of business. So, and at any given time, I'm fixing several of these home-based business clients. These people are shocked and they say, why did my insurance person not even tell me about this?
Yeah, this is some pretty nasty stuff. How can we be better protected?
Well, first off, see how much your current company can sell you in terms of liability coverage, right? Can you go up above 2 million? Can you go 3, 4, 5 million? That may be called umbrella. So you could buy it on your current house policy or your condo policy, and it extends across to your cars as well too, which is really nice. Number two, if you're interested in buying a standalone umbrella policy, that will give you up to 2, 3, 5, 7, $10 million on top of what you got right now. I've got companies that I go to for that, and that $10 million also includes if there's an accident on your car in the U.S. or a property in the U.S. as well too, which is pretty cool because there's a lot of Canadians that fall into that category. So $10 million extra if you wish.
Thanks, Larry. If you wish to know more about being properly protected, you can find Carrie's contact information below and his calendar where you can schedule an online meeting. We thank you for watching, and remember to subscribe right there and to ensure you don't miss any important information. Thanks again.